All right. So we are live officially. The agenda, first of all, welcome anybody who's watching on YouTube or is watching this later. Welcome to the Delta RS Open Development Meeting. We have these every couple of weeks. The meeting, you're welcome to join if you've got questions. You can join the Delta RS Slack channel and we can discuss them. The agenda today that I suggested, and of course we can modify this as necessary. I wanted to really go over three things. First, I wanted to talk about the arrow changes that Christian and Neville, y'all were chatting about in Slack, if possible, to see if there's anything I can do to jump in and help. Oh, and welcome, QP. And then I wanted to, I was hoping that Christian, you and QP might be able to talk about checkpoints and the work that's been going on there.
Sounds good.
And then briefly, I can just talk about some of the stuff that we have planned for the Delta Hackathon coming up at the end of the week. So let's start with Arrow. I saw there's long threads in Slack.
Yeah.
So
sorry about
that. Christian, do you have perhaps a couple of issues that you might want to talk about or share your screen and highlight?
I could share my screen. I don't know if it's necessary. Basically, the crux of the issue is in order to write Delta checkpoints from Delta RS.
Let me see what I can do here.
Yeah, if you want me to share my screen, I can.
I got it.
I'd have to go find the code, but so the crux of the issue is Delta RS checkpoints have a schema because they are Parquet files, and that schema requires a map, requires a support for a map that contains string keys, which Arrow doesn't have today. The Parquet crate does support map string keys. So that long thread you were referencing before is just about adding the support in the Arrow writer, which writes Parquet as an Arrow data type.
If I'm confused, I actually didn't understand the nuance there between the Parquet support and the Arrow support.
Yeah.
So you can write a map in Parquet if you don't do Arrow first?
So maybe I have to defer to Neville for this. Like, cool. The higher level APIs that I'm used to from Arrow are not there for sure. I think you maybe could get this done. I'll defer to Neville on this, but it would require a tremendous amount of code compared to what I'm used to dealing with in the Arrow API. But
yeah, so the Parquet writer gives you like a low-level writer where you can pass a vector of values and then definitions and repetitions. So it assumes that you've already done the calculation for them and that you've checked that everything is fine, and then you write that data. So all data types are supported there because ultimately you're writing a bunch of, it could be primitives, in32, 64, float, or bytes. You write that using that low-level interface. So what the Arrow writer does is it gives you the ability to take Arrow data, and then it sort of does all the work in between for you, so you don't have to know how to calculate the definition, repetitions, etc. And then you write that data to Parquet. So that's the work that I was doing for supporting all the Parquet 2.6 data types. Map type was not a priority when I was doing the work, so we didn't focus on it. Partly also because there currently isn't map type support in the Rust Arrow crate, but it is there in the specification, and it looks quite similar to the Parquet one. So in order to be able to write Arrow data or to unblock Christian, we then need to implement the the bare minimum that we need for the arrow map type. So that would be, I think I've listed those 4 things there on the issue, on the issue. So supporting it in array, which includes, equality comparisons, etc. Supporting the data type, so adding an enum for map onto the array data types, and then wiring through all the way. I think supporting it from a JSON perspective. Christian, you can confirm here. If you don't need to confirm, I think you do convert JSON data to. You need to convert the JSON data to arrow so that it can be written. Okay, and then IPC is optional for our case. It's normally just to make sure that the integration tests with the rest of the array implementation. So looking at C++ as the de facto one, pass. And then once we've done that, then we'll then be able to wire up the write from arrow to parquet. So there's this issue 395, and then there's also 396. I'll open them one after the other. 396 becomes a bit easy once 395 is implemented, because effectively what a map is, it's a list of a struct with 2 values, key and value. So we've got list and struct support working. So it would just be effectively writing the path to get us to write the error data to parquet. I don't know if I'm making sense.
I'm following, but just barely holding onto the thread.
It does make sense to me, at least.
That's good.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just adding that the reason that it's easy for this ticket is because map, it's a new type that we're supporting, just a new logical type that's built on top of the native types, which we already all support. So
gotcha.
It's very easy to implement.
So I feel like I'm up to speed on the arrow underpinnings. Christian, would you like to transition to talking about checkpoints, since that's a logical continuation of this topic?
Yeah. So I do have a PR up for Delta RS, which basically what I'd like to do is, and this is PR number 280.
Yeah, it's on the screen.
Okay, I see it now. So I feel like I'd like to merge this before the map support goes in. And basically what we'll be doing here is we're going to be writing incomplete checkpoints. They're missing some fields that are important. But it at least includes some testable code so that we can start standing up.
The incomplete checkpoints, as you described them, are they actually readable by Delta RS or the Spark implementation?
They are readable by Delta RS. I haven't tested reading them from the Spark implementation, but I suspect they should be readable there as well. As far as running this in production, I would definitely not want to do that until we have the map support.
Could I propose? I don't want anybody to trip and injure themselves here. How difficult would it be? I'll ask that first. To throw this behind a checkpoint feature that is not enabled by default.
So I'm not okay. So I don't know because I'm not super familiar with the feature flag thing in Rust, but I'm sure you guys could help me with that. So
it should be pretty easy.
Okay.
From my perspective, Christian, I actually have no problem with merging code that is not quite ready into main, but because we have, the Delta Lake Python package and potentially other folks, depending on what goes into main or what we release to Delta, or not to Delta, sorry, to Crates.io. I just want to make sure that we guard those things with feature flags appropriately.
Makes sense. I fully support and agree. Would love any help on how the feature flag design should go.
I might be able to take a crack at that later this evening.
Okay.
So we'd have incomplete What fields would we be missing from the checkpoint?
There's 4. Let me pull this up real quick. One sec.
Excuse me.
So we would be missing metadata.format.options, metadata.configuration, add.partition values, and remove.partition values.
Gotcha. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see how the Spark reader would deal with that checkpoint.
I feel like there's 2 different ways it could go. It's going to go one of these 2 ways. Either one, there's some kind of error on the Databricks side, which I feel like is unlikely. The other possibility is it works, but optimizations are missed. So I feel like the add and remove partition values are informative on the reader side. And I feel like those are the things that are going to, get missed and basically just result in slower readers. Format.options, metadata.format.options, and metadata.configuration. I don't have a good sense of how important these are.
Those might affect performance as well. But I think at the very minimum, we can do round trip read and write within Rust, right, for end-to-end test.
Yeah. Yes.
They also contain Delta table config, which might impact performance as well. So.
Yeah.
Christian, is there? Aside from the feature flag work that I can take a look at, is there anything you need on this? And aside from code review.
Code review.
Yeah, aside from code review, not that I can think of. I did post some verbose comments in the description on this PR for specific design points that troubled me during the implementation. But aside from that, I'm actually already pretty deep into testing a Lambda invocation of this. So I don't feel like I need a lot of help other than that code review and helping style wise, or if anything looks funny there.
Okay. Any checkpoint questions or comments from
so what is maybe was explaining what is that Lambda invocation thing?
What is it? So we had a thread in Delta RS where so actually I'll back up a tiny bit further. We posted an initial discussion about checkpoint invocation in Delta RS discussions number 273. And I had proposed a design where we used like a channel and like a checkpoint writer that runs on a separate thread. QP raised a really neat, what do you call it? Idea, I guess, in Delta RS about what if we could run these checkpoints as lambdas. And looking into that, I feel like that's actually the best way to do it. So rather than implementing the channel structure, I'm starting to work on testing running a Lambda function triggered by a S3 event notification of a when any file lands in the Delta log that ends in 0, basically. And so the idea here is that the checkpoint process would be fully decoupled from the actual application that is writing data and initial transaction logs. And this thing basically is just going to get triggered every time a 10th commit is committed to the transaction log and create a checkpoint from that. The PR actually references my branch. I got a comment in there. Let's see here. Note, I also have this dirty thing, right? Yeah. So this shows the diff where I'm working on a Lambda checkpoint. I've got the initial code written, and I'm thinking this would make sense as a binary to include in Delta RS. Welcome for feedback on that thought. If anybody thinks that's a bad idea, but the idea is we would build this binary and make it available for anybody to kind of host in AWS. And I'm going to test that against local stack.
I've gone down this route a bit before with hacking on Rust lambdas. I will once you're further along with this, I'll make some suggestions on how we can structure this for better reuse. But
okay.
I don't want to interrupt you with anything. Any thoughts right now?
Well, so just to dovetail on that a little bit, code-wise, as far as the Rust code, other than like things like including proper error messages, this is what I'm about to start setting up in AWS. So if you already see problems in the code, that's already going to be helpful, because I'm going on to infrastructure mode at this point.
Cool. One thing I would like to point out for some more context is this spun out of a discussion that Tyler started with using Lambda function for cost optimization for all the Delta files. And so in the thread in the Slack channel, so that's what started a bunch of discussions on what other ideas we can do with Lambda within Delta. And then this is checkpointing is one of the ideas, and then there are a couple more we think pretty cool things we can do with Lambdas for Delta tables as well. And another thing I would like to point out is Lambda checkpointing. It's optional. Like this is not enforced in the Delta RS design. As a user of Delta RS, you can invoke the checkpoints in however way you want. This is just one of the ways that we're experimenting with right now.
Nice. Yep. That's right in line. Yep.
Speaking of hacking on things like lambdas, let's talk about. I just want to mention the Delta hack stuff that we have for later in the week. There's this official, very official event that Denny and I have been putting together. Delta Hack 2021. I'll drop this in the Slack channel as well. We actually have a mystery judge. So Denny, Ryan, and I are going to be a judge. I've got the mystery judge. I'm not going to spoil the mystery just yet for some of the projects. But some of the things that we wanted to do along with this were schedule some live streams and things like that. So on the YouTube channel already, there's the introduction, which Denny is going to do, and then I'm going to do a Delta RS live coding session, just creating a pull request for Delta RS. The one other thing that I wanted to see if I could convince Christian, if you'd be willing to join me maybe on Friday at some point to do a live demo of Kafka Delta ingest and talk about where the project is.
Yeah, I mean,
Optional. It's up to you.
sure. I should be happy to do it. Most likely, time does have some impact here on when we might schedule it. But yeah, absolutely, sounds fun.
I'll chat with you in privately in Slack to see what would be a good time. It doesn't have to be 45 minutes. It can be sort of however long you feel like you would want. I think we'd want to get it before 3 p.m.
Oh, I meant like scheduling time, not duration time.
Yeah. Okay. So before 3 p.m. on Friday or Eastern.
Oh yeah, totally. Let's do it, man.
Not too late.
Yeah.
And then QP, if you're interested. We're still figuring this part out, but probably 1 p.m. Pacific-ish.
Friday, right?
On Friday?
Yep. That should work for me.
Okay. Of course, Neville, you're welcome to join any of these things if you would like. I have to be respectful of your time since you're in a much further east time zone than the 3 or 4 of us here in North America.
No worries.
Florian joined. Hello, Florian. So I'll figure out with y'all like calendar invites and get those streams scheduled, and then they'll show up here on the YouTube channel. Yeah. Any questions about Delta Hack or what we've got coming up there?
This one for me. Do you need map type support by Friday?
I will take map support whenever. No, I don't need map support by Friday.
I need it by Friday. No, I'm just kidding.
You needed yesterday.
I mean, I'd love to hear what how long you think it's going to take, so I can adjust my expectations.
I'm actually in the deep of things, so I'm still working on the array. I've done the data type. I'm working on the array bit. I can drop like an estimate. I don't have a guesses yet because I'm still going into the deep of things. So the thing I was doing last night was looking at the formal specification to see how the conversion to JSON looks like. So let me say I can give you an estimate by tomorrow.
You mean conversion from JSON, right? Not to JSON.
Oh no, the IPC, in order for testing the IPC, there's a JSON sort of representation of arrow, which is used for testing. So that I need to be able to read the test data in JSON and then compare it with what's written in the IPC.
Got it.
Yeah, boring ceremonial work.
Okay. All right. I'll watch out for that estimate. I think there's definitely an impact on our production deployment readiness, but it's going to take however long it takes, right? So I'll watch for that estimate and we can touch base afterwards.
Okay. Who needs checkpoints anyway?
Hey.
All right. Any other topics we should discuss? We're coming to the end of our 30-minute session.
So since Florian joined, I just want to mention one quick thing, which is Florian found that during the Python release, our documentation release pipeline is broken, probably due to default permission change from GitHub action. We have since fixed the pipeline, but the documentation for Python will still be out of date until we do the next Python release. Just FYI.
Okay, thank you for sharing this. And for fixing it also.
Hopefully that's the actual fix. We'll find it out next time we do the release.
Okay, fine.
Well, if that's everything, thank you all for joining. And I'll see some of you for Delta Hack later this week. But otherwise, have a good rest of your weekend.
Have a good day.
Awesome.
Goodbye.
Enjoy your week, guys. Bye.